Yo, what's up, guys? Here's a public service announcement. Let's talk a little bit about the crisis in masculinity and why it's not just an individual problem. It's it's a societal problem. And then towards the end of the video, after we go over why this crisis is so detrimental, let's talk a little bit about what you can do to combat this. So, if you like what I'm talking about, the workout videos, whatever, fasting, crisis in masculinity, how to fix things, subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications bell. I guess if I don't ask you guys, you don't do it. Like a whole bunch of you guys watch my stuff, and I don't got that many subscribers, so that is a problem. So anyway, all right, let's talk about it. And at the end, I'm going to tell you what you guys can do to start to fix it. Below too, I'm just going to put my email address. I'm going to be putting out to those of you guys who want it that email me. I'm going to be putting out a PDF on how you could start to combat and become more masculine and get over this one by one. We're going to all get over this crisis in masculinity because it has a snowball effect. Just like degeneracy has a snowball effect, masculinity and reclaiming what is rightfully ours as men has a snowball effect too. All right, let's roll. Crisis in masculinity. This is not just a you issue. All right, so check this out. So in America, lots of places, right? Everything's been reduced to the individual, the individual, the individual, the individual. Oh, it doesn't hurt anybody, then it's okay. If it doesn't do that, it's okay. Am I hurting anybody? It's okay. Everything's like this big individual. I'm just doing this as an individual. These are my choices. Well, guess what? Your choices affect everyone. They affect all of us. They affect everyone around you. So let's kind of talk about that. It's an individual issue, but it's also a societal issue. So let's talk about both. So first, you are more important than just this individual level of like my decisions, my passiveness, my lack of masculinity doesn't affect anybody. Yes, it does. You are more important than that at the individual level. So it starts with you. Your lack of discipline, obedience, your passiveness, your weakness. Now, this, in turn, your weakness, your passiveness, your lack of masculinity, what does it do? All right, first, it affects your wife who needs you to take charge. Wait, excuse me. It affects your wife she needs to take charge because you are weak and you are passive and you can't be trusted. Now, your wife's not going to call you passive, but I'm sure many of you guys have heard like, oh, look, oh, you can't be trusted with this. Did you do this? Did you do that? Like she's reminding you stuff like she's your mother or something. That's because you're having a crisis in masculinity. That's why. And she's taking charge. She is in an unnatural state, and you are in an unnatural state. And when men and women are in two unnatural states, they are miserable. Your marriage is miserable, and that affects a lot of stuff. All right, let's talk about it. All right. It affects your wife, who needs to take charge because you're weak and passive, can't be trusted. This makes her despise you, or hate you, or neglect you. It makes her have to do your job that you should be doing it. It makes her have to do the job of a man, of what you should be doing. She should be trusting you to do this. Okay, makes her have to drive the family. Makes her have to teach the kids. Plan the dates. Tell you what to do. Give you reminders of stuff to do. It's not good, guys. That's not good. You don't want that. I'm telling you, you don't want that. You might think like, oh, it's just easier if I let her take all these responsibilities. No, it's upside down. It's inverted. You are not doing your responsibility, and that's it's unkind to her. Like it's not her job to do that, right? She shouldn't be doing that. She's doing your job, and that means she's not focusing on what she does best. You're not focusing on what you do best. Resentment builds, blah, blah, blah. All right. So when these things happen, in turn, it makes her treat you as a grown up child. I've seen this time in and time out. It's happened to me personally, like a long time ago, and I've corrected it. But I used to be like this, right? The constant reminders, this, and it seems like it comes across as the nagging wife, right? But really, what the nagging wife is a desperate call to say, get your stuff together, start acting like a man. Now, if you do start acting like a man, you can expect some pushback, right? Because she's been kind of taking on this role for who knows how long. Who knows? Maybe her whole entire life. She's probably seen this with her own mother and father. There's a good chance of that. So that means she was brought up this way. So there's going to be definite pushback, but it's the good kind of pushback. It's the pushback that she'll recognize and just, leave you a little note like 6 months later of just saying like, hey, I really appreciate who you are as becoming a man. Like you'll literally get that note. You'll get it. I'm telling you. Or she'll say something like that. Okay? And things will start to change within your marriage. All right, so check this out. So this is not an easy road. As long as it's been degrading from her childhood maybe and her parents' marriage, and then your marriage, and maybe you're, I don't know, who knows, you're 5 years deep, you're 2 years deep, you're 10 years deep, you're 20 years deep. I know a lot of you guys that watch this channel are between, I think it's something stupid, like 80% are like under the age of 45. So that means a lot of you guys are probably married or, something. Okay? All right. It makes her treat you like a grown-up child when she has to take on that responsibility and you're not doing your job. It makes her not want you in the bedroom because she views this, you being a child, as not sexy. It becomes, and this is where it gets weird, it becomes like a weird kind of brother relationship in a way to her. Like, get that? It gets brother and sistery. Like you're an irresponsible younger brother to her, irresponsible older brother. And it gets incesty. That's disgusting. Like, think about that. Like, if she's running all these things, telling you what to do, you're not taking responsibility, you're not planning anything, you can't even plan a date, you can't even plan any of these things. I mean, what's that really saying? You're a boy and you get lumped in with the children, okay? I'm just assuming you guys have kids. And if you don't, like, and you're going through marriage and you're going to do this, like, you want to button this up now. You want to do this way beforehand, before you have kids. Okay? Because you'll get lumped in with those children. If she has to tell you she can't trust you to go do something, man, she shouldn't even have to do that. You should just do it. Like, take on your roles and let her take on her roles. Like, start to figure what that is in marriage. Like, probably a good way to start is check that nagging list. Don't say anything about it. Just go start taking leadership and responsibility. And don't let her talk to you like, don't let her, put you down like that. But in order to do that first, you got to start kind of manning up, right? You got to man up. You got to man up so she go woman up. You have to do it. It starts with you. It doesn't start with her. You can pick out all her problems, say, I don't like it when you do this. Then you're just being a victim and the ball's back in her court where it shouldn't be in the first place. All right. You can tell I'm passionate about this because I did it. I messed it up, guys. All right. So check it out. All right. Next, why it's not an individual problem is it affects your kids. All right. It makes them see masculinity as not what it is. It makes it seem like, The wife is in charge. The mother's in charge. She kind of rules the roost, and everybody asks for permission. Okay? It affects your children. And think about that. They'll grow up with that example, and then they're going to go on to their own, marriages. Okay? That's a problem. You got to correct this at your individual level, but you could see how the individual level, it balloons out and just busts out and it affects everything. Okay? It's in popular culture. It's in the programming we see. It's in the movies. It's, your kids are seeing a disordered marriage with their eyes. They're seeing the disorder with their own eyes, and they're forming their worldview around that and how they're going to act. Do you think they're going to have happy marriages if you don't? No, they're not. All right, let's keep going. All right. Basically, what you're doing by not taking responsibility is you, as a man, are going to be punishing your sons and your daughters because you were weak and passive. Okay? And you couldn't take responsibility and you couldn't start to be, grow into your manhood and start developing your masculinity. We could talk about, I'll do that in the PDF of how you can, start taking the steps to do exactly that. All right, let's move on. All right. Next thing, it affects the wives around your wife, the people around you, the friendships you have. Okay, they're also seeing this poor example. Your wife is seeing, maybe how some woman treats her husband, and she's trying to bring that back into your house. Or that wife is seeing how she treats you, and she's going to treat her husband like that. Do you understand? Like this is a big problem. And it affects not just you. It starts with you in the correction, and it ends with you in the correction, but it evolves into society and culture as a whole. You don't want to be treated as passive or weak, but you can't just say, I don't want to be treated like this. You have to do all the back end stuff, right? And then you don't even have to say, I don't want to treat you like this, or don't speak to me this way, because the chances of that happening start to become slim to none the more you kind of grow into your role as a man. All right, next. All right, so in closing, I want you guys to know this. This is a long road to fix. It is not comfortable to fix. It takes time to fix. You'll see immediate results, right? And I could probably coach a lot of you guys into getting results in a very, very short amount of time, like even the first week, first 6 weeks, first 8 weeks. But here's the deal. As long as it's been degraded, and maybe you married her like this, it was like this with her parents. That means maybe, let's say you got married at 25, that means she has 25 years of example of living like this. And then let's say you've been married for 10 years. I mean, that's compounding interest. That takes a long time to correct. Maybe you've grown up like this. So you got to start correcting all your bad habits and vices and irresponsibility. You have to start walking in your role as a man. And if you do, you're not stealing from her anymore. Right now, when she's taking control and she's doing all those things that you should be doing and reminding you of things and treating you like whatever, the third child, the fourth child, the fifth child, you know what that's doing? You're ruining her, okay? By you not taking on responsibility, you're ruining her and her kind of building in virtue of her femininity and her motherhood role and her woman role. You're stealing that from her, okay? Do you understand that, guys? I'm talking too nicely. I've been there, done that. I'm telling you. I know because I did it. I did it. And I'm telling you guys, you can come out of it. The stickiest marriages you can come out of and start to, walk the walk and talk the talk. But you're not just walking the walk and talking the talk anymore. You're living it. It becomes who you are. All right. So check it out. Your headship is important. If you are down with your headship, your leadership, how to start taking control in your marriage and leading properly and coming into being a man and letting her be a woman and not robbing her, robbing your children, robbing society, robbing other men, robbing other women, then subscribe to my channel. below. I'm going to put like my email address. Send me an email. I'm going to put out the PDF guide. I got it kind of sort of halfway notated, typed up to start to combat some of these things and some tips that you can take right away to stop being lackluster. Trust me, I was once that guy, and it can be reversed. It can be reversed. I'm telling you, it's not easy, but you will be happy or peaceful or whatever you want to call it. And those notes will come, those little words of like, hey, I really trust you. And like, hey, I feel really safe around you. And hey, I know that you're not even going to question that you got this because you got this, right? It won't even come up. It won't even come up. And that is where you win. Because like us men, like our job is praiseless pretty much, right? No one praises us, no one does any of these things, but we're praised by like, who is around you and their actions and how people act around you or how they don't act around you. That's a good one too. At 45 now, I live both ways. I know both ways. I've lived that life before that you guys are living probably right now. The causes crisis in masculinity. That's like snowball effect straight down. Guys, you can get it straight back up and start fixing everything step by step by step. Email me, subscribe, hit the notification button. I don't even like asking for that stuff, but I have to because you goofs will watch the content and make comments, and I'll see like a whole bunch of watchers, and I'll get no subscribers. And then my channel gets buried, and like masculinity gets buried. And then I use words in here like masculinity, and YouTube doesn't like that very much. So subscribe, hit the notification button so you can see when I'm putting out. Go see my email address, send me an email, fix it up. Step by step at the individual level, it affects all of us. It affects me. It affects you. I want to see more strong men, more, strong women, right? Because that's what it is. Like everybody's assuming their own roles. You have strong mothers, strong moms, strong wives, strong husbands, strong men. It goes both ways. All right. That's it.